Welcome back to Nightmare Creatures and another dock level. This one is a lot more deadly than the previous had been. We start off on a short pier and are immediately attacked by a docker who is meant to push us backwards off the edge to our death. You want to deal with him very quickly, or you're going to lose some lives. Once he's dealt with, you can leap over here to a little secret with a life and a full health orb. Then you gotta leap back, which is easier said than done. Gotta get the angle just right or you'll be blocked, and you'll die that way. Lots of ways to die here. See our new combo in action a little later. At this intersection here was Adam Crowley staring at us and then bolting away as soon as we got too close. However, the draw distance on the N64 is much too poor to have actually seen that happen. On the PlayStation version, you can see it clear as day, but we missed it because of the version. It's going to happen a few times in this level, actually. There's a trap designed specifically for this docker to get knocked down. But the traps still work as intended sometimes, but that pendulum swings both ways. It's a pretty terrible place to fight this guy, but we chopped both of his legs off and went for a celebratory swim. I think this is our first on-camera death on the N64. And that's what happens. It just says press A to continue. Doesn't have that horrible screen blurring effect that the PlayStation version has. That thing actually makes me sick. On the N64, they just give you some friendly advice. You've also probably noticed the return of the insects. They don't seem to be as willing to jump into the water as some of the other enemies. Hasn't happened yet, but it's an effective way to deal with the dockers sometimes. Never gotten the bugs to jump into the water, though. This is a surprisingly dangerous encounter. We want to move back so that the Thames monster can't hit us, but then as the docker approaches, he'll start to knock us back and you can very easily get pushed into the water. It's a constant threat here. I dealt with it surprisingly easily. Pure luck, I assure you. Nothing over here, so do some needlessly dangerous leaping over water. It's good to show the level who's boss, that you're not afraid of all of its death pits. I was checking out those dead ends just to make sure I wasn't missing any items. There's a ton of items strewn all over the place in this level, and a great many of them are just by themselves at the end of an otherwise pointless bit of terrain. I'm beginning to suspect that I missed an item behind that pane of glass that I just turned towards. But right now I'm demonstrating that we can walk along the edges of the docks here. That'll allow us to bypass all these blockades. But it's dangerous, and we miss a lot of items if we do that. But still, speedrunners take note. There we go. Turn the docker into a diver. And what he was guarding is actually really important. It is a weapon upgrade for Ignatius. Now Iggy gets to work with some blades as well. Now this isn't a character or version specific thing. Ignatius did have access to the same weapon upgrade we saw Nadia get back in the previous docks level. I just intentionally skipped it to demonstrate that there is a second chance to get it. Both characters would have had access to that had they missed the original. Now, they're both upgraded. Oh, and that box on the left. They moved it slightly in the PlayStation version so that you can't just walk around it, you have to climb up on the edge of the stone pathway. It's very dangerous, and I've lost a few lives that way before. But now that we have our weapon upgrade, we don't have a hell of a lot to do with it, honestly. Doesn't chop up these dockers. nor the insects. Just does a little bit more damage. But since we're fighting two Dockers, we do want to eliminate one very quickly. The upgrade is slightly helpful for that. We've demonstrated a few times the hammer curl combo. There it is again. It's what we learned at the beginning of the level. Makes him hold the staff horizontally and then swing it upwards, which should be ridiculously ineffective, but it does moderate damage. So it's kind of useful. Just another one of his combos that just sort of happens. Not very showy. Here's another spot where he could climb around the barricades. But no, I'm going on a hunting spree. And we can cut down any number of these weird cranes. Just destroy whatever contents are in that box. Serves absolutely no purpose. Just if you enjoy the splashing sound effect, you can hear it a couple more times. This one is not destructible, but I thought I'd try. It occurs to me that the layout of this area is a horrifically inefficient use of space. That a lot of these docks are just connected by wooden planks. Seems pretty ridiculous for what is actually a working port for the City of London. At least it was at this time period. It has since been shut down. Perhaps because it's very poorly laid out. Right here I wanted to demonstrate a move we learned a while ago called the Scottish Backhand. Absolutely useless, but it's called the Scottish Backhand, so I love it. And it is actually useful in the sense that we can chain it into the death kick that chops enemies to bits. When we do that, the attack is called Ahab's Revenge. So, as lame as a lot of Ignatius's combos are, they have the best names. Now, scanning that wall for breakable a little bit, which brings us to this secret area. Some of the most complicated platforming of this level, which is nonetheless pretty easy. The cost for failure is very high. You will definitely lose a life if you get hit by one of those while you're in midair. So don't. Simple as that. The rewards are decent. Always worth it to go out and get an extra life. Lives, once they start to dwindle, the game becomes still manageable, but just so inefficient. If you game over within a few lives, you are going to get too frustrated to continue with the game. Back here, I have missed absolutely nothing, but I'm just checking to make sure. I assume towards the left there, I probably missed something, but oh well. There's Crowley. We can actually see him this time. Tried to bowl some explosives at him, but he dodged with about a minute to spare, and the bombs killed the Thames monster. I've slightly underestimated these pendulums. They're just so easy to ignore most of the time. This Docker here is going to put up way too much of a fight. Eventually going to end him with an Ahab's Revenge, but the combo I've been using the most throughout the game has been called a high kick feint, which is exactly the same as Ahab's Revenge, except in the middle there's a thrusting attack. It's actually very useful for covering a lot of ground in approach of your enemy. Also, I don't think the game's developers know what a feint is, because it should not result in a person being shattered into pieces, but alas. Now, we've seen the previous environmental things that we could knock around. They did nothing, but this one, we can strategically use it to knock the enemy down and celebrate with another swim. It was the best laid plan, and I kind of blew it. There's the high kick feint. I'm really not comfortable with all those saluting arms like that. I feel like I just wandered into a rally. On over here, the most rudely hidden item so far in the entire game. Why on earth would you ever go over there? There's no indication that that window is breakable. I don't think we'll be getting 100% items on any future levels for that reason. But we should have plenty to go on. I haven't mentioned it before, but when we use the save system, it saves all of our items, of course, and all of our lives, all of our upgrades. It also saves our current health pool, so we do not heal between levels if we save the game and continue. If we use passwords, it does heal us back up, but it removes our inventory and replaces it with a sufficient inventory to complete that level and that level alone. You may have missed that Adam Crowley was watching us during that last fight. Then he bolted off right before he killed the guy. He knew he was next. Was really desperate to push him into the water, so the corpse wasn't moving. I had to chop it into pieces, and that got rid of it. Here's Ignatius's walk animation. Much more awkward than Nadia's Bayonetta walk. It's a shame that he gets such poor animations throughout this game. Really removes a lot of his dignity. We're nearing the end though. Just a couple more Docker fights. Probably a Thames monster or two. They definitely take a few less hits since we got the upgrade. Not terribly noticeable, but it makes a eventual difference. Yep, there he goes. Real hard to tell, but he slipped off the edge of that side dock to some unknown thing. Probably an escape boat.
Society funded my experiments, and now it shall destroy itself. How beautiful.
Whatever it was he used to escape, we are not going to be giving chase. Our heroes are sick of just nipping at his heels, so next time we're going to hit him where it really hurts and look into that funding that he was just bragging about.
Ha 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 ha!